Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Ajamir Vikalpam Nirakaramekam Niranandamanandamadvaita Purnam Param Nirgunam Nirvishesham Niriham Parabrahma Rupam Ganesham Bhajemam Parabrahma Rupam Ganesham Bhajema Gunatitamanam Chidanandarupam Chidabhasakam Sarvagam Jnanagamyam Munityayamakasharupam Paresham Parabrahma Rupam Ganesham Bhajema Parabrahma Rupam Ganesham Bhajema Jagat Karanam Karanajnana Rupam Suradim Sukhadim Gunesham Ganesham Jagadvyapinam Vishwavandyam Suresham Parabrahma Rupam Ganesham Bhajema Parabrahma Rupam Ganesham Bhajema Parabrahma Rupam Ganesham Bhajema Ganesham Bhajema. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om friends, welcome to Yuva Chaitanya, and we are on portions which are very important, almost going towards the concluding part of this book. We are on chapter 8 out of 10. And we have covered the third topic, pitfalls in japa. Now we have to start the new one, the fourth topic in the 8th chapter. Stop worry, act. Am I right? Now, our last discussion was thorough and maximum on the statement which was concluding on the third. Japa, polluted by its profit motive, cannot end in spiritual effulgence of the one doing it. We have discussed that the spiritual effulgence of the one who is doing the japa is in fact the ultimate goal for the japa yoga. But if the profit motive is entertained, then definitely we will lose that. It is not our willing about the profit that it will happen. By our willing the profit, we are engaging our mind into a wrong channel of thinking. And thereby our self-efforts will go in a different direction. And therefore this indicated goal is suggested This is what is expected as a result of the effective Japa Yoga. And now, before proceeding to this fourth topic, if you have anything further to contribute, please do that. Or shall we proceed to the new topic? Okay. Stop worry, act. Mighty plans of actions can be undertaken only by equally mighty men. This first part also we have covered last time. A man is mighty according to the amount of energy and concentration and tranquility of mind he can bring into his undertaking with confidence in himself and faith in the goal he has chosen to reach. This self-confidence can be generated and continuously maintained even in the face of dire difficulties only if we hold on to our convictions. What we have gathered as knowledge from our studies of the scriptures, when reinforced by our deeper reflections upon them, becomes our understanding of them. And when we try to live our understanding, it hardens and crystallizes into our conviction. So this we have discussed last time. A paragraph packed with subtle ideas and which are to be capitalized by us on our march towards the goal. Equally significant is the second para. Now, first one, the last concluding statement of the first para, what we have gathered as knowledge, how it becomes understanding, and how understanding becomes conviction. That was our last point of discussion. So this is the knowledge, understanding, and conviction. Just to warm up the discussion, how these three become effective in our action.
Knowledge referred here is actually information, and when it is reflected upon, then it becomes knowledge. And the last point is when this knowledge comes into action, then it becomes conviction, or it helps to increase our conviction. It is said hardens and crystallizes, means then thereafter that conviction will not waver.
What is important between understanding and conviction?
To apply it, to live with it, without compromise.
Yes, without compromise. That's
Yes.
what the important thing is. When we do not compromise with what we have already understood as true and correct at the level of behavior and action, mental and physical, then it is we allow that understanding to crystallize into conviction. This conviction then cannot be changed, or it cannot have any obstacles within the individual. Plus, this is only we are taking side from the intellectual level. Study, reflection, and conviction. This all part is covered by the intellectual aspect of our personality. And the topic is here the stop worry. That means still the worry can bother us. In spite of this preparation of knowledge, understanding, and conviction, still our mind can worry. There is still possibility. And now that is the matter to be taken up here in this particular topic. So, stop worry, act is the title, and in this direction, let us see how Swamiji drives us point by point to fulfill the topic. So now, this we have covered in the first para. Now we are going to the second para. Second para is also equally loaded with significant words of deeper significance. And so let us see it. Thus the great words of eternal assurance, my devotee shall never perish. I shall save you from all evils. Or equanimity itself is the highest yoga. All from Gita can rekindle in a true seeker a fresh burst of enthusiasm with which to meet the obstacles and vault over the hurdles in his dash to his chosen goal or destination. The dejected personality in us can get revived and refilled with fresh faith and courage. When we reflect upon such scriptural declarations, let us repeat them to ourselves often. Apart from our deep and steady meditation upon them as a sure antidote against our sagging self-confidence and shrinking sense of dejection and gathering mental depression. This is a very important suggestion is made. And when Swamiji suggests it is a sure shot, what is that suggestion?
Suggestion is that we have to have faith in the declaration given.
That's all.
So when that faith is there, it will give us new inspiration or revive our inspiration. Where we are lacking self-confidence, Swamiji asked us to go for these statements and repeatedly say it to boost our morale. So we have to think on these statements, why it is said like that, how it will help me out. And thinking again and again on it and believing what it is said, then I can come out of my dejection slowly.
So faith in the statements. That's what your suggestion.
Yes.
Anyone else?
Guruji, the last sentence, the last clause of the last sentence actually indicates that as a sure antidote against our sagging self-confidence, shrinking sense of dejection, and gathering mental depression, seems to suggest that in general the experiences of life without the support of these sentences are likely to only make us more fearful, more worried, and more dejected. And especially as more and more such challenges come, the sense of confidence is likely to be low. And the first thing we need to be able to handle things in our life is actually a sense of confidence, or at least a sense of की आपल्या पाठीशी कोणीतरी आहे. And if we have if we have the company of thoughts of this type, then we might be better equipped to handle those situations.
Company of such
These
person
such persons through their thoughts.
through their thought. But what is suggested here by Swamiji? Moini says that we should have faith in these statements that are given.
See, one thing that he is suggesting is that the dejected personality in us can get revived and refilled with fresh faith and courage, which means that it's not that a spiritual personality is a constant static personality. It also needs constant rejuvenation and rekindling.
That is because of possibility of worrying over. So, but now to stop worrying, Swamiji is giving us a positive method, positive way, indicated in the beginning of the para, in the middle of the para, end of the para, very beautifully. Only its sentences are long with lot of clauses that we are likely to miss the very important point that is trying to hit. What is introduced in this particular para?
In the first para, we have seen inspiration. So that inspiration, if it goes down, to rekindle it, what are the methods?
So what are the methods? That's our point of present discussion. What are the suggestions or methods which are entered here clearly by Swamiji?
So one is if the person is of, we have seen that mind and intellect, they have different qualities. So if the person is of thinking nature, is using his intellect more, then the statement in equanimity itself is the highest yoga, is applicable for that person. If the person is of more of emotional type, then the Lord is there with you and Lord will save you from this. So by these statements, if the mind is not agitated, these statements will make the mind calm. That is the first step for this. That
Very good.
pointer.
Very good. So we should learn to by heart these important statements. Swamiji qualifies them as the statements of eternal assurances. The statements of eternal assurances, and for example, 3 of them are selected here, suggested or quoted by Swamiji, and there could be many more in Gita. And such, the first suggestion is we must learn to repeat them to ourselves now and then. This is important. And the real utility of that is effectively when we meditate on them, when we contemplate on them. But the slots for contemplation will be relatively less compared to our slots for interacting with the world and going through different situations. So for this, the repeating these sentences to ourselves is the first immediate suggestion. Clearly mentioned here, you see, let us repeat them to ourselves often. This clause is an important clause. Let us repeat them to ourselves often. Now, can you look at these sentences in Gita? My devotee shall never perish. Have you tried out?
नमे भक्त प्रणश्यति कौन्तेय प्रतिजानीहि नमे भक्त प्रणश्यति.
Yes. This is the motto of the monthly magazine Tapovan Prasad of the mission. Kaunteya Pratijanihi Name Bhakta Pranashyati. Where is it located?
9th chapter.
9th chapter. And the verse number?
No, I don't know that.
31st. Verse number 31. It says, Kaunteya Pratijanehi Name Bhakta Pranashyati. Now we need not remember the verse and the chapter, but we should definitely remember Kaunteya Pratijanehi Name Bhakta Pranashyati. It's an assurance given by the Lord that my devotees shall never perish. Devotee is the very key word, important. To be the devotee of the Lord is something different than all other practices that we are doing. So my devotee shall never perish. That is an assurance. Know for certain. Pratijanihi. Kaunteya, oh Arjuna, know for certain that my devotee shall never perish. So now only that word devotee we need to know in detail. But this is the one. Next, the next, I shall save you from all evils.
Aham tva sarva papebhyaha mokshayishyami ma shudha.
Very good.
Last chapter.
That is?
It is 3 times.
That's very important. That's why we are chanting it 3 times. So this is the second statement, that I shall save you from all evils. So when we are repeating it to ourselves, we are getting the source of a fresh enthusiasm from that statement, because it is the statement by the Lord himself. Narayanena Swayam. Vedas can be considered as only the Nishvasitas, that is only the breaths of the Lord. But here in Gita, Lord himself is saying something on his own. So see something. His breaths and his utterances. See the difference. In Gita, we have a direct utterances by the Lord, and they are of assurances, eternal assurance, and therefore this is another second statement. The last statement, equanimity itself is the highest yoga.
Samatvam yoga uchyate.
Parvati.
Yes, sir. Samatvam yoga uchyate.
Samatvam yoga uchyate. Okay. So this is where in which chapter it has come? Equanimity itself is the highest yoga.
Second chapter.
What is that? Barabar, second chapter, right. Verse number 48. So you see, verse number 48 says, Yogasthak kuru karmani, sangam tyaktva dhananjaya, siddha siddhyo samo bhutva, samatvam yoga uchyate. This is one. Or another could be verse number 38. Sukha dukkhe same krutva, labha labho, jaya jayo. So that is also samatvam only, related to that. Likewise, we have to select. Swamiji has just, for example, selected 3 statements of eternal assurance from the Lord. And since we have studied the scriptures with faith in the scriptures, because the scriptures are the means of knowledge. We don't have any other means. These scriptures is the only means of this knowledge, this kind of knowledge, which is not accessible to our senses, our mind, our intellect. So from the scripture directly we get this source of knowledge. Now if we have a faith in the scriptures, then definitely these statements which are made in the scriptures, in the Upanishads, etc., it is it is from the Vedas, and we have seen the Vedas like the breathings of the Lord. But in Gita, Lord himself says this. Therefore, it's a direct assurance of, and it is called eternal assurance. It is in our own interest and benefit that we should repeat to ourselves now and then in our spare time, not in the open public necessarily, but in our spare time, wherever we are with ourselves, or wherever there are possibilities of while meeting the situation that the mind gets worried, there we can recall this statement and convince to ourselves that these are the assurances, eternal assurances from the Lord. So He will take care of. In Bhajagovindam, we have seen Vatula Kim Tava Nasti Niyanta. Is there not someone who is taking care of? You are worrying about as though it is all from the beginning of your birth onwards, or even before prenatal, you were bothering about it. You didn't know anything about it. It all happened to you. And now when as a result of some quality food consumed, the consciousness reflected in your intellect, you became self-conscious. Now you don't know what is that self that you are conscious of. You have just become self-conscious. Therefore, it is the ego that is conscious. And then you start, the job of the ego is to be worrying over the past, being anxiety for the future, and excitement in the present. This is the ego's job, egoistic individual. Under such circumstances, if we have the habit of repeating to ourselves these eternal assurances, as quoted Swamiji, for example, these three quotes are given, and we can find out also. Now, since we have studied at least 3 chapters in Yuva Chaitanya, I would like to ask you, the assurance by the Lord or such statement in the first chapter. Usually all scholars are saying there is nothing in the first chapter except the dejection and all that. And the real advice of the Lord starts from the 11th verse of 2nd chapter. Ashocha ananvashocastam. Okay, this is what everybody says. But we have, through discussions, we have found out that Lord is saying something even here also. Some assurance is there, or some instruction is there. It's not assurance.
So there, Lord asked to observe.
Pardon?
Observe.
Observe what?
In the first chapter, Lord takes the chariot in between and he says, see. See means observe the reality, understand it, and then take your decision.
Very, very good. Do you agree that we have discussed something like this? Now the actual word. Pashyaitan samavetan kurun iti uvacha partha pashyaitan samavetan kurun iti. Uvacha means Bhagavan uvacha, but it is incidental, therefore it is not said Bhagavan uvacha, etc. Uvacha, Bhagavan uvacha, he partha samavetan kurun pashya iti, thus. Quote, unquote. This is the most important statement. It expects us to read the facts in the situation. Pashya means see the facts of the situation. Don't get disturbed or just flabbergasted by the appearance. What you can see that ghost-like appearance of the situation. It's not the superfluous observation. You must see the facts of the situation. So learn to see the facts of the situation. Pashya. Etan samavetan kurun pashya. Now see the Kurus from the dynasty of Kuru. See all those who have gathered here. Now that Kuru samavetan kurun pashya. Who are the Kurus? In the entire military, and so many kings have gathered. Who exactly are the Kurus? This is how Swami.
Kauravas.
Huh?
Kauravas.
Anyone else?
No, Kuru should include Bhishma also. Because
Yes, all right. So she said Kauravas means Bhishma was on the side of Kauravas only. And he was their grandfather. So he belongs to the same family. Yes, anyone else? Why not include
teachers?
Pandavas? What
Their
about
teachers?
Pandavas? But Pandavas, teachers, Dronacharya, etc., they don't belong to Kuru. They are employed, government employees.
Okay.
But what about Pandavas? Are they not Kurus? Both belong to the same dynasty. Samavetan Kurun Pashya. And say, understand that both Kauravas and Pandavas belong to one dynasty and you are fighting among yourselves. It's called civil war. And it's not a war against some enemy outside. So this, try to see the facts in the situation. This is a very important statement instructing us that whenever we are meeting whatever situation, we must learn to see the facts of the situation rather than imagine the would-be possibilities and all that. Ghastly look of the situation. So that is also another thing. Because we dare not see what it is exactly, the situation has its own ghastly look at us, and then we get worried, we get scared, etc. But our attempt should be to face the situation, try to see the facts, so that when the facts are clear, the course of action is also evident. What action we should take, how we should respond, also becomes evident. So what is important there is to read the facts in the situation. And Samavetan Kurun Pashya. Kurun means you are also included. So you see, and therefore when he says that drive the chariot and park between two armies, so both the armies are not different, they are not enemies of each other. They belong to the same dynasty. This is a very important statement. Likewise, through our studies so far of first 3 chapters, it would be a very good undertaking to find out such statements from the Lord which are of eternal assurance of first 3 chapters. And Swamiji is now giving it from 9th chapter, then 18th chapter, and what else? That's another in between. The first one, my devotee shall never perish, is 9th chapter. I shall save you from all evils, is 18th chapter. Equanimity. Equanimity itself is the highest yoga. It's also from 2nd chapter, isn't it? So here just selected 2, 3 just to give you for example, but we can, as we are studying the chapter in our weekly satsanga, we can find out few more sentence, maybe that they will appeal to you the most. So only those which appeal to you the most, as Mohini has said, depending upon your personality combination, you have to choose what appeals you the most, and that you should repeat it to yourself now and then in your spare time and remind the Lord's eternal assurance. So this will give us a fresh enthusiasm. Any other point in this? So these two suggestions are made. At the seat of meditation, we should reflect on Lord's eternal assurances, and otherwise, now and then, we should repeat them to ourselves to remind us the Lord's assurance. So these two suggestions are made in this second para.
One more is one more statement which is also that way famous is
Which one?
nimitta matram.
Yes.
So in case of difficulties, then we have to understand that whatever is maximum best possible we have to do, and Lord is actually working through us. So to release the pressure on ourselves, this also helps.
Believe?
To release the pressure which is building.
So pressure is built due to what?
Because these are the situations when we are dejected, or the inspiration is less, or we are worried about something. So that creates pressure on our mind. So when the situation is
worries, etc., they are cause, isn't it?
Yes.
Your worries, anxiety. What is the cause for all these worries and anxiety?
That I do mentality is there.
Very good. That is the point. The kartrutva aspect is the point. We think we do it. It is not. In that nimitta matram bhavasavya sachin, Lord says, I have already killed them. Already killed them means they are morally degraded already within. They are already, their conscience is biting them, all Kauravas. Therefore, they are as good as killed. Now what you do is, you just regularize the matter. I have already taken the decision and killed them. Now what you do? You be nimitta matra, instrumental. You are my instrument and I am doing it. You are not doing it. Instrument cannot have the boast of doing it. Instrument is handled by the person, operator. And is the operator who is responsible due to his skills, etc. That certain work is performed through that instrument. You be instrumental. Nimittam is a nimitta karana. Nimitta karana is instrumental cause. So we are only the instrument handled by the Lord to accomplish His plans for the world. It is not due to our anxieties, our worries, etc. We have to just become a sharpened tool, a tool which is well attended so that it is ready to use by the Lord. So we have to tune up our tools, that is body, mind, intellect. These all equipments are to be tuned. And so in between we are referred, Swami Vimalananda says that considering this body, mind, intellect as three, you can say wire, or the, what is called as like piano wire. These are the three, and the instrument like lute, veena, etc. have three these wires. Body, mind, intellect has three wires, and we have to just to tune up the instrument. We have to tighten them, not too tight, not too loose, just right. This is the secret. This is the formula or secret. When we are just tuning up our physical personality for its performance, that is efficiency, that is proficiency in action. When your mind is available with all attention to the present, and when our intellect knows the job, how to perform it, they're all tuned up. And now, like the local railway packed with passengers, and for getting down, you don't have to make any effort. You have to be free yourself so that you are pushed down to the platform. Likewise, the instrument doesn't have to perform anything on its own. Instrument has to be just ready and keep itself ready to use. And the Lord must feel like taking up your instrument. If the instrument is tuned properly, then Lord would like to take up that instrument first. If the instrument has to be tuned up and all that, Lord is not interested. He wants immediately to pick up the instrument, play upon that, and that performance will save the world. So here, nimitta matram bhava, be only instrumental. Don't carry any idea of doing this and doing that. What is being done is the credit goes to the Lord. And if it is done properly, it means we have tuned our tools properly. The tools must be readily all sharpened, etc., ready to use. Our job is that, to keep the tools sharpened. And his job is to take up the tool and work on it. So this is very another important statement. Nimitta matram bhava sabda sahaja. Maya vete, something like that is the word says earlier that I have already killed them. You just be instrumental, because actually physically he has to be there on the ground, the war front, and perform his duty. Then he will be successful because he has already killed them. We are killing the one which is already killed. So it is only a regularization. In the office language, it is called regularizing the decision. Decision, usually first we decide and then we do. But under certain circumstances, the boss tells us to do it immediately. And then he tells the office people to regularize the matter according to what we have done. Okay. So likewise, here we need to first, the Lord will do it, and we have only to regularize the matter by being instrumental. So this idea also needs to be reflected upon so that it will be useful in our contemplative effort as well. So every time the sense Dhanurudyamya Pandava. Dhanurudyamya Pandava. So moment they entered into the war front, the Madhava Pandava Shaiva, the Lord and Arjuna, both of them, as they entered into the field, immediately he took up bow in his hand, Dhanur Udyamya. He raised the bow. This shows the egoistic approach to the situation. That when I have to settle the account and all that, he is very anxious to fight, initiate the fight. But the Lord was there with him, and he says, okay, take my chariot between two lines, between two armies, and let me see who are the fellows who are supporting the evil-minded Duryodhana and all that. So that sense of egoistic approach to the situation is the only fault. And therefore, even when the Lord has brought the chariot between two armies, he thought that they are two different armies opposite to each other. They were not. Both of them were Kurus by dynasty. And so, Samavetan Kurun Pashya is saying that please see that afresh. And he could not see. Tatra Pashyat Sitan Partha Pitrunatha Pitamahan, etc. He started saying again his relatives, his kith and kin, instead of seeing them as the enemy being on the opposite side of in the battle. So this is how he failed to see the facts in the situation because of his egoistic approach to the situation. Instead, now as suggested, Nimitta Matram Bhava Savyasaji, Lord has already planned and he is acting. But if the instrument is not ready to be free or accessible to the Lord, then he will simply throw it away. But if the instrument is ready in its performance, well tuned up, then Lord will take it up. And it is Lord who will perform, not we. So this is what we say, Karta, Karavita, is the Lord. We say that, but we don't mean it. We say that I'll do this and I'll do that, I've planned like that, etc. This is all right within yourself, but within at the same time, we must be aware of the actual performance by the Lord. And we are only moving the limbs according to his suggestion. So this is also another important statement. So thus we have seen one or two more statements also from first chapter we have seen, and this also I think in the 11th chapter. Am I right? Nimitta matram bhava savyasachi. So here I am to kill all these people, and I've already killed them. You be just instruments. I think it is in the 11th chapter.
That is Vishwarupa Darshan, right?
Vishwarup Darshan.
So after that Vishwarupa Darshan, that last verses it will be in that.
This is here, it is.
I think it has again come in 18th also. It is repeated.
No, the 11th only, 32nd. Tasmat tvamuttishta yasho labhatva jitva shatrun bhungshva rajyam samruddham mayaivaite nihata purvameva. I have already killed them. Purvameva. Nimitta matram bhava savyasachi. This is 33rd verse in the 11th chapter. Such things we need to repeat to ourselves by heart. And then the next application is at the seat of meditation. But unless we repeat it to ourselves, these sentences will not come to our mind at the seat of meditation. So these two methods are suggested. One is repeating to ourselves these eternal assurances by the Lord in Gita. Gita is enough for us, because all the Upanishadic statements will be too high. But this is a direct assurance from the Lord. Therefore, few sentences we must by heart, we must be able to remember so that we can chant them, utter, and we will discover in critical situations, we will discover a fresh enthusiasm coming to our rescue. So this part is essential contents of second para. Let us see the third para. In spite of all the above methods of intelligent living, now what is intelligent living? Study of scripture, assimilating it through reflection, accepting the creative idea, keeping a high ideal in our mental vision, cultivating more and more faith in ourselves and in our chosen goal. This all together is intelligent living. Still, sometimes in the lashing onslaught of life's urgencies, we are apt to lose our balance and fall into the dirty ditches of despair, despondency, and worry. So now in this para, the two things are suggested, expected. First thing is a sense of preparedness on our part, which is from the intelligence side or intellectual side, we are prepared. And still, in spite of showing this to mental vision, still mind can worry about. So that means this is something beyond immediately our intellectual preparation. And we need to analyze still why we worry when we are equipped so much. So this is the point raised in this particularly paragraph, short para, relatively. But first of all, it is assumed that we are, from the standpoint of our rational capacity, we are prepared in terms of study of the scriptures, then reflecting upon them, the creative ideas, then the accepting the creative ideas, then keeping a high ideal in our mental vision, that's the goal, and cultivating more and more faith in ourselves and in our chosen goal. This is all equipment, preparedness on our part at the intellectual level. And still, in spite of the high vision that is shown before the mind, still mind can worry about. Now this worry should be about what? That we need to say. Here it is not explained, so the maybe following paragraph will give us that. When is the situation when, in spite of our preparedness at the rational level and mind getting acquainted with our vision about our ideal, still mind can worry about. And what are those areas of worry that we need to see now? So we need to, for that, go to the next para, the fourth one. Now, before going to fourth one, is there anything balanced in the third? Swamiji's presentation is beautiful, step by step, thought by thought development. So digest the first thought, then we will be able to take up the next thought and digest that. Every time going to the new point, he always summarizes the so far points discussed, and that becomes useful for us. So we'll go to the fourth para. In all charity and kindness, we should not allow worry to always worry us. Why not take the battle into the enemy's land and worry the worry that comes to worry us? Worry not. No dynamic young man should waste his precious time in his suicidal mood of unintelligent worry. A very short paragraph, but the strategy is suggested here. What is that strategy? We have to take care about worrying of the mind. What is the strategy?
We have to attack worry itself.
Okay. Where?
We have to attack worry itself.
All right.
No,
When worry is our bother, then we have to take care of worry only. But how? What is the strategy?
No, the strategy is when you have your enemy fighting with you, you go to a higher level and then you are able to defeat the enemy while fighting from there. So if we have to fight worry, if we are able to rise higher than worry, we'll be able to counter worry effectively.
Now, this going to the higher level and fighting is suggested in third chapter of Gita at the close of it. But here it is not.
The strategy here is to take the same strategy of the enemies and use it against them only, which will help us counter them.
Enter into enemy's land and fight. This is the strategy. Instead of waiting for enemy to attack us and then fighting back, instead of that, go on your own in the enemy's land and fight. So that that worry sense the worry is at present our enemy. So go into the areas of worry and fight there. See what is the reason for worrying by the mind, etc. So this is aggressive attitude in the war. There are two aspects in the war. One is aggressors, another is defenders. Just to defend themselves, they are fighting. The others are aggressive. They come into our region and fight with us. So this second attitude, going into enemy's land and fighting itself is the one which is recommended here. So now in the third chapter, what you say, going to the higher level, in fact, all Britishers, while fighting with the Marathas of Shivaji Maharaj, they have used this technique of going to the higher level and shooting from their guns the enemy. And that's why we were defeated at time, because we were not equipped with the guns. They were equipped with guns, and so they used to be at the hilltop or something, and from the top they would shoot the enemy. And these people are with the swords, etc. They would only take care of the enemy that is attacking in the front. But from the top, if someone shoots, they were helpless. That is how sometimes we had to lose the battle of this. So going to the higher level and fighting down below the enemy is suggested in the third chapter, at the close of the third chapter. In the closing is verses 41, 42, and 43. They are suggesting the Tasmat Swamindriyanyadau Niyamya Bharatarshapa Papmanam Prajahi Yenam Jnana Vijnana Nachanam Indriyani Paranyahu Indriyebhya Param Manaha Manasastu Parabuddhihi Yo Buddhehe Paratastu Saha. These are the levels. So you go to the higher level and fight. So if you want to fight, if you want to control the Indriyas, go to the mental level and fight with the Indriyas. If you have a problem with the mind, go to the intellectual level and fight with the mind. Like going to the higher level and than the enemy and fighting down with enemy. Evam buddhe param buddhva samstabhyatmanam atmana yahi shatrum mahabaho kamarupam durasadan. Finally, to defeat this kama, the desire and the desirer, this is the way. That finally go to the level of the self. Samstabhya, atmanam, atmana samstabhya. By the inner equipment, atmana, atmanam, the self, samstabhya. Study there with the help of your inner equipment. Study there at the self and then fight down this desirer of the desire or the lot of desire as such. So this was another tactic of fighting the war. So going to the higher level than the enemy level and fighting them down. But here, what is suggested is different. In this fourth para, what is suggested is different. And that is aggressively go to the enemy's land and fight there. So they will not, not allowing them a chance to prepare themselves, land in their own province and fight with the enemy. This is a special strategy, a daring strategy, and the intelligent person, seeker, should follow this, because the mind is lower, the intellect is higher. So we are already prepared at the higher level, intellectual level. Then mind, worrying is the bother of the mind. So going to the higher level and fighting is what is suggested in the third chapter. But here Swamiji says, go to the mental level only and see why the mind is worrying. What are the reasons for its worry? And solve then and there. So all this analysis, very rational analysis of the mind worrying over will follow now. Therefore, we can go to the next paragraph for this, because the point is not complete. It is Swamiji is presenting step by step the idea. So if you can see, the seeker is a intelligent living, was suggested in the third, how he can prepare himself intelligently, was suggested in the third para. And in the second para, to repeat to ourselves the Lord's eternal assurances in Gita is the suggestion. See how he's building up point by point and making us stronger. And now, in case of worrying over, which belongs to mind, we have to go to the mind level and fight there. See what is the reason for worry and try to attend to that. So now this is how so far we have covered. Now let us see what the fifth para has for us. It has been found that there can be only two kinds of situations over which we generally worry. A, the inevitable, and B, the remediable. The former worry is unavoidable, even irresistible, and we can do nothing about it. Therefore, we need not worry over such worries, because we can't do anything about it. Why? Because it is inevitable. The situation is inevitable. Okay. Now, just keep smiling. This is a daring tip given by Swamiji. When the mind is in the horror and is worrying about to smile under such situation, but it is Swamiji's suggestion, and Swamiji won't give you that unless he himself has gone through it and lived that. We have seen Swamiji very seldom frowning, a very exceptional case. Otherwise, he is always smiling and cheerful in his disposition, and while moving among the public or people. And therefore, that's our experience. We have seen him in a very cheerful disposition. He used to give discourses, etc., very forcefully and all. But here, when the mind is worrying, to make the worrying person smile is something a unique suggestion, but we need to understand how we should employ it, how we can employ it in our day-to-day life. So let us see. The latter can be remedied through self-effort and right action. Naturally, then, why should we waste time and energy by worrying? Let us get up, tighten our belt, roll up our sleeves, and work to remedy the situation which is threatening to worry us. If there is any deviation from this text, then please bring it to my notice. I am having this edition, which is a bit older, something in 80s or. So here, just keep smiling is the suggestion. No, the two reasons to worry. One is an inevitable situation, and another is the remedial situation. Remediable. So there is some solution to in the situation or some problem which bothers us, worry us. So if there is some remedial situation, then what is important is not to worry and waste our time, but to take up to our self-effort and immediately acting. If some patient is on the deathbed, then worrying over doesn't help. What we need is an immediate emergency aid that can be provided to the patient. So that is something like this, that here the worry does not help. Here only the work and help, whatever is required as per the directives from the doctor, we need to do it. And if something has happened, which not as a result of our performance necessarily, but the otherwise type of situation is inevitable, like death. So if somebody is already dead, then you are crying and being as though you could have bring him back by crying, etc. This is something inevitable situation. So this kind of situation, there is no solution. I mean, the worrying, etc. Really, it is if somebody worries, etc. It is natural, and we can't do anything about that. But if the situation is remediable, then definitely instead of worrying, we should be acting. See the title, stop worrying, act. This is for the remedial situation. Where there is a scope for us to do something, then sitting down and worrying over will not help. So this is first. So in the worry, we are seeing here two areas of worry. One is the situation which is inevitable and we can't avoid that. And the other one is a situation where there are, if proper means are adopted, the situation can be improved. So remediable, this is another type. Among the two types of situation, what is inevitable, then worrying over doesn't change the situation. But in a remediable situation, if we can do something, definitely there are chances for improvement. So here that which is inevitable is a smile, right? See, the former worry is unavoidable, even irresistible, and we can do nothing about it. Therefore, we need not worry over such worries. Just keep smiling. What is the strength and basis for smiling? When I am already worrying over something, is the statement. Who is worrying? I am worrying or the mind is worrying? First, start from that onward and see. Final suggestion is keep smiling at that situation. Smiling doesn't mean physically from the lips, please. Very important. Because if somebody is dead and you keep smiling there, people won't like it. Definitely, it is the cheerful disposition of the mind, and not on the face or smiling. We need to understand, otherwise it will have really undesirable impact on the situation, and we may be penalized for that. So it is not smiling. There are stories to the children which are talking about this, where the fellow literally follows the advice and gets the beaten treatment from the public. So it is not to be taken literally at the physical level, but worry is belonging to the mind which is worrying. Therefore, at the mental level, we have to keep the cheerful disposition. Now, what is the strength? How do we keep that? How can we keep the mind cheerful in spite of these worries? Is there any way out? Mind is already worrying. And we are asked to smile. We can't physically smile. One will not dare enough to smile physically under the situation. Everyone is very serious face and we can't just smile. Then it is mental. When it is mental, mind is already sunk in the worrying. And now we are asked to keep smiling. What is the basis, or on what basis we can afford to smile, mentally smile? Yes,
We have to see some positive side in the situation. And another thing is, this situation will not be permanent. It is going to pass away. So to wait for the situation to go away or pass away, and to have some sort of courage to face the situation. Positive, some positive side. We say that a cloud has silver lining. Like that, if I can find out some positivity in that, and to bear the situation, I have to remind myself that this is going to pass away. I have to just bear for some more time. So
okay.
to hold my
Positive.
courage.
So you are saying about the positive aspect of the situation or silver lining. Now, what is exactly that silver lining for us in a worrying situation?
That someone that is Lord is there with me, or I am with the Lord. So nothing that much will happen, so that everything goes out of control. So that thing should be there in the mind.
That
And
was suggested. That was
yes,
already suggested in the first para.
yes,
See, Swamiji is not losing that point. We can afford to be cheerful in our mind with the faith in the Lord's assurances. Name Bhakta Pranashati, and all those 2-3 quoted, for example, and we can always choose from Gita that which will be really an assurance for us. And remember that. That's the only solace for us at that moment. Immediately to look out for the positive aspect, etc., is not possible for the worrying mind. And if the person is identifying with a worrying mind, definitely he is also is not available for that. But suppose under these circumstances, the mind can recall or remember the Lord's eternal assurances, and of course faith, etc., is taken for granted here. Then definitely that will give us the fresh enthusiasm to face the situation. And then, so that we are projecting the bare minimum from ourselves and allowing the Lord to take care of the situation. Then the Lord will work on the situation. Unless we give up our claim that we can do something, etc., that sense of doership, the Lord cannot come in. And when Lord coming, we must allow the Lord to take care of, or to work on the situation, and His eternal assurances is the only solace for the worrying mind. That these assurances will give us a fresh enthusiasm. The word used there is the fresh enthusiasm. And in earlier, it has been already used.
we have seen the sentence as do your best and leave the rest.
Yes.
So the leave the rest part is very important. We are not ready to leave it.
Leave the rest
To
is
the Lord.
incomplete. To the Lord.
Yes.
So complete. Do your best and leave the rest to the Lord. When you are like that, leaving everything to the Lord after doing your best, then you are relieved of the sense of worry. And when the Lord is there to take care of, in fact, it is His doing that is more effective than my doing. So these ideas will definitely give us a foothold in to stand in the situation. They are very, very valuable and clear-cut instructions are given. So don't lose heart and keep mentally, try to keep cheerful with the whole support from Lord's assurances. Lord has Himself assured. So reminding the Lord, look what you have said, now take care. I don't know now how to handle the situation. I'm tending to worry about the situation. Please take care of that. check up.
We have seen one prayer in which it is said that give me courage where I can. It is said that give me courage in the situation which I can change. And
Before that,
the situation which I cannot change. These
what
are
is that?
things.
There, what you give?
Give me
The
patience.
serenity to accept that which cannot be
Accept
changed.
that situation.
And
give
then
me
the
courage to change. And
What
finally, give me the ability to distinguish between these two, what I can change and what I cannot change.
Yes, this is a great stuff for the prayerful meditation. In the beginning only, this prayer is attended. Swami Dayanandji has actually made use of in the guided meditation in the Yajnashala. And there he has uttered these words, which is a great prayer. So first he says, give me the serenity to accept the things that I can't change. Give me the courage to change the things I can. And give me the discrimination between what I can change and what I cannot change. Give me the wisdom to know the difference between what I can change and what I cannot change. It's a very, very important prayer. Only 3 statements. What I can do, what I cannot do. Must be clear cut available to our understanding. And what I cannot do, then I must be serene. Here Swamiji says smile. And there it is said serene. Both are indicative of sattva aspect of our mind. So as far as possible, try to be peaceful in your mental disposition, and this is indicative of being cheerful and smiling, etc. They are all belonging to sattva aspect of the mind. Only the sattvic mind can afford to face the worrying mind. So always these 2 levels are always operative simultaneously, but there is an accent of tamoguna and rajas, tamas and rajas, and sattva doesn't get access. Therefore, the problem. The sattva can get access if we remember the Lord's assurances, and if we keep our mind cheerful to that assurance in the wake of that, then definitely we can stop worrying, meaning the mind can restrain itself from worrying over. So this is a indicated suggestion here in the fifth paragraph. Just keep smiling. The latter can be remedied through self-effort and right action. Only 3. You have to see, worrying about what is the cause of worry. If the cause of worry is remedial, then don't worry. You put forth all your attention, etc., in the self-effort and the right action, so that the situation can be remedied and we can come out of that. But if it is inevitable, then we can't help. It is stable. It is not remediable. So we have to go through that, and even going through that, the way out is keep smiling. There is another suggestion. We need to reflect over in understanding the right message that is Swamiji is trying to give through this instruction. So what is remediable is through self-effort and right action. This is one. And what is not remediable, what is inevitable, which we cannot avoid, what is inevitable, that we have to face. It is irresistible also, and we can do nothing about it. Or therefore, there, smile. Because we don't have to do anything, then smile. And it is on the basis of Lord's assurances that we can afford to smile. We can look up to the Lord and smile, reminding him of his assurances. Swami Tapon Maharaj used to wander in the Himalayan ranges barefooted and barehead. He would not cover his head and foot and wander in the Himalayan valley. And he wanted, at one critical moment, he was fainted and fell down. So when he fell down, he is in the mind. Now this is a worrying situation. Nobody is around. Okay. And he has fell down. And he knows the reason for that. Under such cold conditions, he is going barefooted and bareheaded. So there he brings in his mind, let me see how the Lord helps me now. This is keep smiling. He is not worried about that he has fell down. Now he says in his mind, let me see how the Lord will help me now. And soon after this, somebody came and he, I think he kept some shawl or some warm clothes on his body so that he will keep warm even in that situation. So this is how he has a total faith in the Lord, and the Lord managed to solve the situation or to help him come out of the situation. So with a little warmth and all that, he would again gather up and get up. So this is how we can see from Swami Tapon Maharaj, his own demonstration, how he himself behaved in this. So Wanderings in the Himalayas is one of the books which gives account of all such situations. Sometimes they have come across those looters, dacoits, where they had nothing. So they said, we don't have anything. If you want, you can take away whatever we have got, some food or whatever it is. And the dacoits understood their clear intentions of the Swami, and they live with them like this. Likewise, we can find it's a question of a daring faith that we should cultivate so that the Lord will come down to help us. So he is trying our daring. Says Ramdas Swami, Sada Sarvada Deva Sannidha Ahe Krupalupane Alpadharishta Pahe. It's just trying your daring. How you can dare seek Lord's help and yourself remaining doing nothing, leaving everything to the Lord. He is just trying to test your daring, and he is there immediately. He is very close to us. He is our own self. The Lord is our own self. Do you remember the statement in Gita? Another statement to be remembered. Sada Sarvada Deva Sannidha Ahe. The Lord is always very close to us.
Aham Atma Gudakesha.
Very good. Aham Atma Gudakesha Sarva Bhutashaya Sthitaha. Which chapter? No. 10th chapter, 20th verse, 20. Aham Atma Gudakesha Sarva Bhutashaya Sthitaha. I am the self in all the beings. Don't worry. So the self is the nearest. Sada Sarvada Deva Sannidha. Sannidhi Matrena. So the self is myself as Mr. Ego, egoistic individual, and the self is closest to me, nearest to me. Nothing else is that near. Aham Atma Gudakesha Sarva Bhutashaya Sthitaha. This is how under the inevitable situation, we can smile and remember the Lord and leave it to Him to give us the strength to bear the situation. Otherwise, when the situation is remedial, again the worry is not justified. This is the commentary, in other words, Ashochan Anvashochatvam. Prajnavadamashya bhasase. You are crying and weeping under these circumstances, and you are talking big words like a scholar. So this is the commentary. When we are worrying over how do we face this in our situation, the mental situation, in spite of our preparedness at the intellectual level, how we can come down to the mind level and fight there. This is the strategy. Go to the enemy's land and fight. They will be taken back when such an attack is made. The third one is remembering or reminding the eternal assurances of the Lord, and then see the magic of that assurance, how it can bring us out from the sense of worry. We'll stop here only for the time being. So we'll conclude now the satsang with pledge and shanti part. We stand as one family, bound to each other with love and respect. We serve as an army, courageous and disciplined, ever ready to fight against all low tendencies and false values within and without us. We live honestly the noble life of sacrifice and service, producing more than what we consume and giving more than what we take. We seek the Lord's grace to keep us on the path of virtue, courage, and wisdom. May thy grace and blessings flow through us to the world around us. We believe that the service of our country is the service of the Lord of Lords, and devotion to the people is the devotion to the Supreme Self. We know our responsibilities. Give us the ability and courage to fulfill them. Om Tat Sat. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kasyid dukkha bhag bhave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Mritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om, everybody.